Hey everybody, long time no talk. It's Mike here. I think Skinny Minis are going to launch a new Kickstarter. So today we're going to compare Skinny Minis, Cardboard Pawns, and 3D Minis. Remember, if you like this video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, even a subscribe. Down in the links, there are links to my products I sell on DM's Guild if you really want to support the channel. Otherwise, I just hope you find this comparison of these items useful. Here we go. Now, I gotta say, I did an unboxing of Skinny Minis when I got them from the last Kickstarter. I never posted that on YouTube. I may or may not edit some of that into this. I did some comparisons. Who knows, maybe I'll just put that unboxing on. We'll see. But let's start by looking at 3 Teiflings if we wanted to. So this is a Teifling 3D Mini. It's got a front and a back. Looks pretty good. Here's the cardboard one. I've cut the cardboard out so that it looks a little bit better, otherwise it would just be a whole lot of white. You'll notice there's a front and a front on these cardboard ones. I don't know if that's true for all cardboard brands. And then the Skinny Minis. See if we can get it to focus. It's also very shiny. There's a front and a back. Now, if we compare the size, the bases are pretty much the same size. Let's look at 2 Otyugs. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Here is the 3-dimensional one. Front, back, tops, obviously. Here is a Skinny Minis. Again, sorry about the shine. See if I can block that light a little bit. Front, back. We're going to compare the sizes in just a little bit, but you can see, again, the bases are pretty much the same size. There we go, blocking the sun. Here's a Sphinx. Front, back. Here is some sort of water demon. Front and front again. And we'll compare that to this 3D Mini. We're going to get to the sizes in just a little bit, but again, that one fits in. This is an older Mini. One of the very first minis Wizards produced in 3D back when they made minis. You can see that base is a little bit smaller than either of these other 2 bases that take up the whole amount of squares. Let's look at a couple of dwarves. I think this is something that people are going to be interested in, is the relative size of the Skinny Minis. These are 2 dwarves. This is actually a pretty good sized dwarf out of my collection. You can see how much larger the Skinny Mini is. I gotta say, the colors are amazing on these Skinny Minis. Front and a back again on both. And again, this time we can really see the height difference. I think that's the biggest issue that I have with the Skinny Minis on the small miniatures. Here's the shortest Skinny Mini one of the shorter Skinny Mini halflings, and one of the taller halflings out of my 3D Minis. Of course, it's not focusing, but man, you can really see the size difference. I mean, that's a crazy big difference. Again, the art is beautiful on the Skinny Minis. Let's look at some huges. I don't have any huges in the Skinny Minis. I have a couple of gargantuans, but here are 2 dragons. One a Pathfinder Pawn, one a 3D Mini. I mean, front and a front again, and obviously not a front and a back. So let's look at the size differences. You can see how much taller the pawn is than this particular dragon. It's not the tallest dragon I own, but a lot of the three-dimensional dragons really take up a lot of extra squares. Look at those wings, as opposed to this guy. Here's something I want to point out. If you're sitting on the side of the table, look at the difference in what you see in a flat miniature versus a three-dimensional miniature. We can really see that. This is a weird thing. For some reason, the coatl is more of a medium-sized creature in the Skinny Minis. Note the difference in the side view again. I mean, that's a pretty stark difference. Let's look at the Otyughs. They're pretty much the same height, the same size. Again, the 3D one takes up a little bit of extra space, but not too much. One thing I will say about the two-dimensional minis that I really like, and it really shows up in the spell effects, is that you can have minis really occupy the same spaces, which you really can't do with most of the 3D minis. So yeah, they don't look as cool from the side, but I can have a swarm or a spell or something else take up the same space as another miniature, which is pretty convenient. We'll just look at a slightly taller large and a slightly shorter large here for some more perspective. Here's a large, a couple of larges from the Pawns. You can really see how much taller the Pawns are, and the pawn on the left, that one, I really cut up a lot to make it look a lot better, but I also shortened it a little bit by taking off the extra white space on the bottom. But I really like cutting off all that extra white. That whole thing would be all white. I will say that the Pawns also have really good art. I would say that it's kind of a more, realistic isn't really the right word. I'm not really sure. I think the Skinny Minis have an amazing amount of color, which I really, really like. Let's look at the Teifling height differences here. It's a pretty stark difference. The 3D Mini is much shorter. So what I can say is the humanoids, the mediums, the smalls. I mean, look at this. Look at these dwarves and halflings. And that's a substantial difference on both of those. That's either the tallest dwarf or the tallest halfling in history. That's one of the taller halfling 3D minis I own, and one of the shorter minis that I own that's a Skinny Mini. So that's a substantial difference. Same with the dwarves. So let's just zoom out a little bit here, see if we can focus. Here's what I'm gonna say. I think the Skinny Minis look amazing. The colors are amazing. They've got fronts and backs. They don't take up any space in terms of storage. They weigh nothing, even compared to the cardboard ones. These weigh almost nothing. And you can see they come pre-cut, unlike the Pathfinder Pawns or other Pawns. These ones either are totally cut or you've got the see-through plastic, so you really get the feel for what the creature is going to look like, as opposed to having all that white space. And frankly, there would be white all the way from here up above and all the way around, so that would all be filled with white space. Again, 3D minis don't have those white space issues at all, and they look really cool from the front to the back, the side. But while they take up a lot of space, if you're the kind of person who's going to travel with your miniatures and stuff, I think the Skinny Minis are a great deal. Also, the Skinny Minis and the cardboard minis cost a lot less per miniature than the 3D minis. It's not even particularly close in terms of cost. I think for the huge, really large creatures, I really prefer the 3D ones, except for the fact that they often take up extra space. Let me see what else I have. Hold on. Here's a couple of giants. I mean, this thing looks amazing front, back, side, everywhere you look. No matter where you are on the table, this thing's going to look amazing. As opposed to this looks really great from the front. But imagine having to transport these two things. Imagine having to transport those versus those if you were going to transport them. I think if you game at home mostly, the 3D minis certainly look the best. You don't have to worry about transporting them. But on a cost basis, these skinny minis are amazing. And I think I will probably re-edit that unboxing video so we can take a look at more of the skinny minis. Anyway, I hope you find this useful. Remember, these ones look great. They cost more. They're much harder to transport. They even look great from the side. These have a great cost. They're clear. They don't weigh anything. They're easy to transport. The colors are really astounding. Any place where you've got kind of tentacles or whatnot, you've got the clear plastic so you can really see what the monster looks like as opposed to something like this. These you can sometimes find in used bookstores or other place. I think you can get an astounding amount of stuff in the pawn boxes. But I think you've got a better control in the Kickstarter with the skinny minis on what you're going to get. They do cost more than these, but these cost the most. So high cost, look great from the side. Heck, they're even kind of hard to find sometimes. About to launch another Kickstarter, kind of low to medium cost per unit. They look great from the front and the back. From the side, they don't really look like anything at all. But you can, like I said, really share a space with these. And then you have the Pathfinder or any other cardboard pawns. Again, they don't look like anything from the side. And they've got front and front on these particular ones. I'm not sure if that's true on more current ones. These are pretty old. I got a deal on them at Half Price Books, way less than half the costs. I bought a couple of boxes. Heck, maybe I should give those boxes away if you live in the Portland, Oregon area. I've got a whole bunch of them that I haven't used and I never do plan to use. They weigh so much I'm probably not going to be able to mail them to somebody. But if there's someone in the Portland, Oregon area who's interested in them, let me know.